Welcome back to BlackTideTV. Today we're kicking off Tier 2 of the Golden Weapon reviews with the RK5 pistol. I want to talk about something that I missed in the MR6 pistol episode, which was the last episode of the Golden Weapon reviews. Before we get started, it does relate to the RK5, so it makes sense that I'm talking about it now, and that is that I missed specialist recommendations for the MR6 pistol. And I'm surprised that nobody caught on to it by now, but I did completely forget about doing that. It just slipped my mind when I was writing the script, but I do have a reason for why it slipped my mind. It's not just because I forgot about it, it's because there was something working in the back of my mind when I was writing that script, and that is that 99% of the people that use the MR6 or the RK5 use them as secondary weapons. And with all of the other Golden Weapon reviews of primary weapons, I'm encouraging you to choose your specialist based on your primary weapon. Now, these are secondary weapons, so it's completely different, and I was thinking, well, people are going to use them as secondary weapons anyways. I don't need to give them a specialist recommendation because they should be choosing their specialists for their primary weapon. Now, I do know that a lot of people like to use the secondary weapons, the secondary pistols, as their primary weapon, so I didn't think it was fair not to include them, so I'm going to include them now. For the MR6 and the RK5, the specialists that you should use are the Ripper, the Kinetic Armor, Overdrive, Sparrow, Annihilator, and Active Camo. The RK9 specialists are a little bit different, and we'll talk about that in that episode, but these are for the MR6 and the RK5. You're going to want to use like specialists that can get you in close to the enemies, specialists that'll help you if you get overrun when you're in close, and also specialists that have a longer range like the Annihilator or the Sparrow. You can use at long range if you need to eliminate a sniper at longer ranges or something that you can't get by. So those are your specialist recommendations for the RK5 and the MR6. Without further ado, let's talk a little bit more about the RK5. We're going to learn a little bit about it. Then I'm going to recommend some playstyles, some classes, and then we're going to finally look at the golden variant, the Bond that you're seeing in this gameplay. So, of the three original handguns in Call of Duty Black Ops 3, the RK5, the MR6, and the RK9, the RK5 is essentially the middle ground, where the MR6 is a semi-automatic weapon and the RK9 is a fully automatic weapon. This weapon fires in 3-round bursts, but there's absolutely nothing average about those 3-round bursts. The 3-round burst is extremely powerful, extremely fast, and it's just going to blow your mind when you start getting used to it. So, it's actually got the fastest fire rate of all three pistols, except you do have to factor in the burst delay, which is the time between pulling the triggers, between the gun allowing you to pull the trigger to fire another burst, which is going to slow down the fire rate. But if this weapon was fully automatic at the fire rate of the 3 shots coming out after you pull the trigger, it would be the fastest firing gun in the game, or one of the fastest firing guns in the game, like right on par with the Vesper. This is a very, very fast firing weapon. It's just because of that burst delay, it doesn't seem like it's firing so fast, but it really is. This is an extremely, extremely fast firing weapon. It's also got pretty decent damage. It's got really high damage at really close range. If you are basically, like, if you're a couple steps, if you're a couple meters from an enemy, you will easily drop them in a single burst. 3 shots and they will die, but expect to shoot 2 bursts at every single enemy anyways, just in case you miss a shot or just in case they're a little bit beyond your 3-shot kill range, which is very possible because the 3-shot kill range is very short. If they're just a few steps beyond a few steps away from you, they're going to take 2 bursts to kill, and that's going to really be the downside of this weapon. So you got to be ready to fire at least 2 bursts at every single enemy. So, of course, there's an upside and a downside to this, the poor range that is, and that is the upside being that the RK5 is quite accurate, so you will be able to get those 2 bursts on every enemy if you have an experienced hand. If you know how to use this weapon, if you are really good with recoil control, you're not going to have any trouble with aiming at enemies at longer ranges and taking out enemies with 2 bursts at longer ranges. However, the downside is that there's only 15 rounds or 5 bursts in the magazine, in the standard magazine, so you're probably going to want to use extended mags, but we'll get into that in the recommendations section. It's really, really tough to engage more than one enemy at once because you only have 5 bursts, and most of the time you want to shoot 2 bursts at each enemy. So if there's 2 enemies, you're going to have a kind of a sketchy time. If there's 3 enemies, you're probably going to die, and so on and so forth. So you really have to be ready with this weapon. You have to be prepared to fire 2 bursts at all times, and the small magazine size doesn't really account for that. So the RK5, it makes for the best secondary weapon, the best backup weapon for a sniper or other long-range weapon, where you can pull it out really quick. If somebody bum rushes you, you can just whip it out and shoot them before they really get any shots on you. Now, it's best used like this. You can use it as a primary weapon, and I'm going to talk about that in the recommendation section as well, which will be starting right about now. So let's talk playstyle, class, and attachment recommendations. Due to its close range or no range attributes, I would recommend that you use the RK5 solely as a panic secondary. Like I just said, you're going to want to use like fast hands with your sniper rifle or LMG class and swap it out in case someone bum rushes you and someone runs up right in your face. An LMG or a sniper rifle might not be the best for attacking enemies like that. You want to switch out really quick using that fast hands perk and whip out your pistol and hit them and get them down in one burst. So that's what it's really made for. That's what the real power of this weapon is at extremely close range. So using it as a secondary weapon, a panic secondary, is a really great idea, and you'll find the most opportunity in using this weapon that way. As for using it solo, you'll want to use extended mags and rush as hard as you can. Get into a central objective, get into where the enemies are really close, and just spray at them and just get them down. That's how you want to use this weapon if you're going to use it solo. Though, like I said, I would not recommend it. If you're going to use a solo pistol, the MR6 is the way to go. But if you're going to use this weapon solo, make sure you're getting in close. You have to be very, 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 very close in order to use this weapon well, and that's just going to be your best bet, is get in real close and shoot at enemies that are right in your face. So we already talked about specialists. Let's talk about attachments. Suppressor is an absolute no-no. You never ever want to use a suppressor on this weapon. The 3-shot kill range is already short enough. It's a very short 3-shot kill range, and if you put a suppressor on there, it's going to be basically point blank. So you're going to have a better chance with the combat knife if you're going to put a suppressor on here. That's going to be like your range with the 3-shot kill. So basically, if you put a suppressor on this, you're going to be firing either 2 or 3 shots or 3 bursts at an enemy before they will go down. So you got to be really prepared for shooting multiple bursts at enemies if you're going to use a suppressor. But I highly, highly recommend that you do not use a suppressor on this weapon. Just use it as that close range weapon. When you're in close range, it's not really a requirement that you're using a suppressor, because everybody knows where you are anyways. So you don't really need to use a suppressor, and I highly don't recommend it. I highly recommend that you don't. So no suppressor. Never ever use a suppressor. Optics, again, just like the MR6, I think they're awful. On all of the pistols in this game, I think the optics are very strange. They seem to me like they're adding on a ton of recoil or something like that. They're just really, really bad. I do not like optics on this weapon. Of course, if you enjoy optics, definitely go for it, but I just don't think that they're useful in any case. It's not like you're engaging enemies at longer ranges or you need to be extremely accurate with this weapon, because you're supposed to be at close range anyways. So why do you need to waste a slot on optics? I'm not sure, but if you like optics, go ahead. I mean, it can't hurt. So long barrel does not provide much of a bonus, although it has a short 3-shot kill range, and I keep talking about that and I keep saying, oh, you don't want to be in at longer ranges. You're probably thinking, well, let's throw a long barrel on there and get in, and I can engage enemies at longer ranges. But long barrel really doesn't provide that much of a bonus. Long barrel is like a little tiny sliver of an extra bit of range, and it's not going to help you a whole lot. So long barrel, you might want to reconsider using it. I mean, if you're using suppressor and long barrel, it could definitely work quite well, but I just would not recommend that you use long barrel in general, just because it's not a great bonus. High caliber is always a great choice, because it's just going to take like 1 shot to kill off the top if you hit an enemy in the head. So if you have got really, really good accuracy with this weapon, or even if you're going for the 100 headshots to get your camos done, high caliber is probably the attachment to it's the best attachment probably on any pistol in this game. However, my personal variant, the Bond, does not use high caliber, probably just because I'm done my camo challenges and I don't really go for headshots, because a three round burst will put down an enemy no matter where you hit them on the body. So I'm not really concerned about hitting people in the head, so I don't play the accuracy kind of style with this weapon. So my personal variant does not use high caliber, although it could be really, really well. It could do really well if you're using high caliber and you have good aim. My personal variant, the the RK5 Bond has fast mags and extended mags. That's what you're seeing me use right here. Of course, it's using secondary gunfighter to make the gun as good as possible. If you're using this weapon as a secondary, I would recommend extended mags over fast mags. I just put them both on here so I can get in and out of gunfights really quick. I can reload really fast and get back into the thick of things when I'm running around with this thing as a primary weapon. So that's why I'm using the RK5 this way. I like the extended mags because it's going to give me more bursts on an enemy, so I have more chance to get a kill in. And fast mags is just great just because of, like I said, you can get in and out of gunfights, reload, and just prepare and get back in as fast as possible. So those are the attachments I use. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure that you are looking out for more golden weapon reviews on the horizon. Comment down below which golden weapon review in tier 2 you want to see next. I think that would be like the VMP, the XR2. I'm just trying to remember these from my brain right now. The 205 Brecci or Breachy or whatever you want to call it. There is the, I'm trying to think. I can't think. Oh my god. There is the Dingo. I don't know. Any of the weapons, if you go into create a class and you're on your weapon slots, the second weapons down in any of the categories, whatever one of those you guys want to see next, make sure you vote for it by putting your comments in the comment section down below on what one you want to see next, and I'll be sure to work on that one. So make sure you let me know, like this video, and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next video, which will be coming out probably tomorrow. I hope I can get it out tomorrow, and that's the goal, is daily gaming goodness here on BlackTideTV. So I hope you're looking out for that, and I'll see you guys later.
Get back to boot camp.